So welcome to this webinar. This is the webinar for Acoustics and Audio Technology, major from Aalto University. And we're going to tell you a little bit about what we have to offer for you guys. So let's take a look at who we have here.
Hello, my name is Alumna. I'm from Poland, and I'm a second-year master's student in Acoustics and Audio Technology program.
And my name is Tapio. I'm professor in acoustics, has been 10 years a professor now here doing all kind of things.
Hello, I'm Vesa Välimäki. I'm also a professor here. I'm from Finland originally. I studied here and then now I'm working here. And I'm also sharing this webinar from my laptop, so I'm showing everybody from my camera, so I can't show my face so close. But that's how you see all of us here in the same space.
And I'm Alli Palojärvi. I'm a planning officer, which means that I'm from the study office. And I think we can move on to the contents.
All right, so in this webinar, you will see an introduction to Aalto University and Finland and life in Finland. And of course, the main thing is the master's major in Acoustics and Audio Technology, which we will describe to you. We will also tell you about the Aalto Acoustics Lab, which is the center here that's organizing mainly the teaching in this major. And you'll see our facilities and hear about people who are also the teachers. Then you'll hear about job opportunities, which are excellent in this field. And then we also have Camilla here, who is going to tell you about student life here in Finland and at Aalto.
So Aalto University was founded in 2010. Even if we're really young university in a sense, we have deep roots in Helsinki University of Technology, University of Art and Design Helsinki, and Helsinki School of Economics. And we are really good in all these fields that we represent. And our national mission is to strengthen Finland's innovative capacity through first-class research, art, and education. And even if we're quite young university, we're doing really good in the international rankings. As you can see, here are some examples. For example, we're 9th of all young universities globally, 23rd in multidisciplinary and collaborative research, 37th most international university in the world, and 47th in advancing responsible consumption and production. So we're doing really good in these matters. And what's very important for us is multidisciplinary and international community. We have 12,000 degree students and a staff about 4,000 people, of which nearly 400 people are professors. And the share of international academic faculty is 40%. And we really want to encourage our students to explore and find the perfect match for them. So our students create their own study paths in our multidisciplinary environment, and they can choose courses from all the 3 fields that we represent. And let's take a little closer look to our campus. So all the 3 fields are represented here in our Otaniemi campus. And there is a like an overall experience being here in Otaniemi, because you can live here, you can study here, work here, and spend your free time because there's a lot of things to do and a lot of things to find. And I think it's quite a unique ecosystem of startups and academic life, and there's a lot of things to find at our campus. And you can see that we have great study facilities, and soon we're also going to let you know a little bit more about our research facilities. We have great student union facilities and a lot of other things to find. And what is amazing about our campus is that even if we're in the hustle and bustle of Helsinki and Espoo cities, you can also go to the nature path, which is right next door here at the campus. So now we can go and take a look at the next slide. So as I said, you can really live, study, work, and spend your free time on the campus. But besides that, you can find from Aalto that Finland really is a world leader in education, because our our teaching is very high quality. However, it's very nice that our community is very low hierarchy, so you can find out that people are really calling their teachers with their first names. Finland is a really safe and equal country, and you can also soon see that we're ranking top in the happiness index, but we're going to take a look at that really soon. However, something that might interest people as well is that even if our national languages are Finnish and Swedish, a lot of people still speak English, so you can get by here just by speaking English. Of course, we want you to also learn some Finnish if you're interested. But yeah, we can go to the next slide. So as I said, we're the happiest country in the world. Other things that we're doing really good at is that this society is very equal and there's very low hierarchies. Finland is very, very safe and clean. Something that makes usually our students very happy is that everything is close to nature. So there's always forest nearby, or you can go to the sea. And as Finland is over 1,000 kilometers long, so you can go and see the other regions in Finland as well and see the nature there as well. And of course, it's easy to get from here to the other countries and other cities in Europe as well. So we're well connected to the Nordics and Europe. So you can fly from here, but of course you can also take ferries to, for example, Stockholm and Tallinn. And there's a lot to see in Europe. And I think we could take a look at the rankings we have. So here are some things that we are doing really good at in Finland. So for example, we were Press Freedom Index #1 in 2016, greenest country in the world. Also, best chances of equal treatment at work for women, #1 has gone to us, and most stable country in the world, #1, and a lot of other really good rankings or placements in rankings. So I won't go through all of them, but you can see that we are doing good in really many fields. So go us.
Thanks, Ali. Next, talk about the actual studies. So this is about the master's major in Acoustics and Audio Technology, and we are part of the master's program in Computer Communication and Information Sciences that has also several other options to study, but of course this one is the most important and interesting one, at least in my opinion. So there are 3 good reasons why you should come to study here. The first one is that we are a leading university in acoustics and audio technology. The Acoustics Lab is a world-class center in research, so there's a lot of knowledge here. Our main research areas are spatial sound research, which is related to like multi-channel sound and how you hear sound from different directions and so on, and also audio signal processing, which means processing sound with computers or laptops or other more small computers that you have in your phone and so on. The second reason is that we have a great place here, great facilities and great people. The lab, the Acoustics Lab, was renovated in 2019. Now it's nice and shiny. We have lots of nice new equipment here and good special rooms. And also it's a very international place. We have most of our students and also researchers and teachers. Well, actually, I would say researchers and students come from outside Finland. Actually, among our teachers, many of us actually come from Finland, not all. The third thing is that this is a great field. Acoustics and audio technology is still like a kind of a future, has a bright future. Companies are growing and new ones are born all the time, and also startups. There's lots of nice opportunities, and also you know, maybe that like machine learning and deep learning are now growing in everywhere, and it actually helps us also. Machine learning is applied heavily in acoustic and audio technology, and this also gives new opportunities and gives growth to our area. And here we have our professors who are mainly the teachers. We all teach in English. All our courses are in English, and maybe do you want to start up here?
Yes, I will introduce like Ville Pulkki and myself. If I start from Ville is really known from the spatial sound research, so how we can use microphone arrays to capture the spatial sound, and then how we can actually also reproduce that with multiple loudspeakers or with headphones. So like in commercial products, you can see 3D sound or spatial sound or immersive sound, and that's all the same things. Then Ville is doing also research in psychoacoustics, meaning that we study that how people perceive different things. So with the for example, with sound pressure level meter, we can measure that what is the level of the sound, but we don't understand properly that what is the loudness that we hear, how different people hear how loud the sound is. We know the level, but different people hear it a little bit differently, and that's the field of psychoacoustics. Then Ville has been doing also recently like machine learning for virtual reality applications. And then super hearing is Ville's newest research area, which is kind of how we can listen ultrasound. So you can have ultrasound and then you can downsample it and then you can listen that. And then that's also done with the microphone array. So you can actually hear that in which direction the ultrasound is coming. Then myself, I have done a lot of research on acoustics of concert halls and room acoustics, meaning all kind of rooms, open plan offices, normal lecture rooms, whatever, how the sound is in these rooms and how we perceive it and what will be the optimal room acoustics for all different spaces. That includes also like 3D mic array processing, because we are measuring the sound with multiple microphones, and then we can extract also information that where the sound is coming from. And my newest interest is in bio-based acoustic materials. So they are the materials which absorb sound. So they reduce the sound in a room, and they are bio-based, meaning that they are made out of cellulose or even like waste, bio-waste. And we aim to have like carbon negative products, so which are binding carbon more to the products that the whole process is actually consuming.
Okay, thanks, Tapio. And then we have here as the third professor, Professor Sebastian Schlecht. He comes from Germany, and he is working mainly on sound in virtual reality. You may know that most of the time when we hear about virtual reality applications, it's about image, how and video, how things look. But in real world, of course, there's also sound. And after sound was added to movies, we never went back to silent movies, and now we want to also the virtual reality to have the sound. Sebastian is struggling to do that. He's, for example, working on 6 degree of freedom virtual acoustic technology, where you can move freely and tilt your head, and the system and the environment should react to that in a natural way. He's also doing spatial artificial reverberation, which means that he can simulate things like concert halls or music studios or some music, maybe like a restaurant or something like that in a virtual reality, and you should be able to hear the reverberation from in a natural way from the same directions as in a real space. He's also working on reverberation enhancement, which means that you can actually modify the sound of a room and the acoustics of a room with microphones and loudspeakers. And for example, the room that is acoustically dead can be made sound like a concert hall or like a cathedral or something like that. And it's also being applied currently in a like music bar in Helsinki and in Tampere as well, isn't that so?
Yes.
Okay, and then it's me. I'm Vesa Välimäki. I'm the professor of audio signal processing here. I've been here for about 20 years, I believe, and I have been doing things like digital audio effects and synthesis. So my and my students we make effects that they use like in movies and music production and in games. And I also work with headphones and loudspeakers and manufacturers of those devices to improve the sound quality. And more recently, we have started doing deep learning, and we have done some pioneering work on modeling like guitar amplifiers, for example, using deep learning. So you can now get like heavy metal guitar sound with your laptop or maybe even a phone. using these technologies. So these are some of the things we do nowadays. And we also teach these topics that we mentioned here. So on the courses, you will get to know better what is happening in this field. And then it's the structure of the study. Stapi, do you want to?
Yes. So the degree is 2 years, meaning 120 acts or credit points. And then our major is it can be short or long, meaning 40 or 60 credits. And here's the list of mandatory courses, which are acoustical measurements, communication acoustics, acoustics and the physics of sound. They are the now in the fall, and then in the spring term we have audio signal processing, virtual acoustics, and then one seminar. It might be it's every second year it's acoustic seminar, and every second year is audio technology seminar. And then in addition we have some optional courses, and there is listed noise control and electroacoustics, which are given by our laboratory. But then, of course, you can have also some other optional courses, like if you are interested in construction, for example, you can have like from the School of Engineering, more like building construction and these kind of things, which is closely related to acoustics. You can have also computer graphics or computer science oral, and they are also like possible minor studies. So you can do a minor on some other field, which you connect then to acoustics. And then there are totally like elective studies, which can be whatever. If you're interested in chemistry, you can do, for example, my students are now doing a little bit of chemistry because we are doing these new bio-based materials. So you have to understand a little bit of chemistry. And then you can do whatever you can also learn Finnish or something else, which are the elective studies. And then the last let's say half a year is dedicated to master's thesis, which is 30 credits in the degree. Yeah, and then what you will be after our program is that we actually work really close to industry. We have a lot of projects with industry, and then also visiting lecturers from the industry. So you can do internship during your studies, have a summer job in industry, and then possibly also doing your master's thesis in industry already. And then I think all our students have now like the full-time job. I don't know anybody who is unemployed at the moment who has graduated from our program. And here's a list of companies in Finland, like Nokia and Genelec are probably the most famous one. Neural DSP, a new company which is making these guitar amplifier models. So you have a software-based guitar amplifiers and all kind of effects. Then we have a couple of consultants companies which are doing all kind of acoustic consultancy, measurements, designing buildings, designing ice hockey arenas, isolating metros and railways and these kind of things. And then probably you know Musician, which is a software with which you can learn to play guitar or piano. That's also one company where there are many of our former students working.
All right, and then we can have a look at our research and study facilities. So we have quite fancy special rooms here at the Acoustics Lab, which also students can use for their projects and studies, and then their like thesis work. So we have 3 anechoic chambers. This is one of them. This is the biggest one. It was also renovated a couple of years ago, so it's nice and shiny now. One of the anechoic rooms is here in the middle picture, and it has 45 high-quality Genelec speakers, also one at the very top of the listener, and then they are organized in this kind of spherical constellation, so you can basically play sound from any direction, also actually below the floor, like from like down below you, because the floor is a kind of fence, so you can have actually speakers under the floor. We also have listening booths for doing listening tests with headphones, and we have a standard listening room. And then this is a very nice place, this third picture. This is our variable acoustics room. There you can open and close like parts of the walls and making them harder or softer, and this changes completely the acoustics of the room. And you can also make different kinds of combinations, actually zillions of combinations, and change the acoustics of that room. It's a great place to study room acoustics. Really. We also have some workshops where you can do electronics and 3D printing, for example. Some students have done some fancy speakers. They just invented a new speaker thing, and then they just printed it and started testing it. We also wanted to show you an example of a student project. So this is the most recent master's thesis project from our lab. Madalina, or Maddie, finished the thesis recently where she studied the bass sound with subwoofers. Subwoofers are these big low frequency speakers which are the size of I don't know, maybe almost like a washing machine or something, and very heavy also. You can't move them by yourself. You need some friends with you. But Maddie was working on four of those. And the challenge here was that we don't know exactly the accuracy of perception at low frequency. And there's even some rumors that people can't hear the direction of low frequency sound or speaker in a room at all. But this also is something that we would need to know, because of course there are sound systems that play low frequency sound, and you have to be we would have to know how we hear it. And so the solution here is that Maddie and her supervising professor Ville Pulkki, they planned some listening tests which they conducted in the anechoic chamber, and they actually found out how accurately people can hear low frequency sound. And now after Maddie graduated, she continues this work with Genelec, which is a famous loudspeaker company who also produced this subwoofer. So Genelec was interested in this because they also want to know, they want to increase our knowledge about sound reproduction and hearing. So that's Maddie's student project or master's thesis project. Okay, then we have also other things you can do during your studies. So you can take an internship. So often this happens in the beginning of the second year, or first half of the second year might be a good time when you go maybe somewhere in Finland to a university or company, or abroad, and you can do something like related maybe courses, and you can also get credit points for this internship, and so this is something that is highly recommended. We also have grants for students to do this, so it should be financially possible to go somewhere else and not spend all that 2 years at this same campus here. Also, students exchange is possible, so you can also like take a longer period, usually maybe half a year, and go abroad to do studies. And an idea is to do an international minor, which is 30 credit points, and this would basically replace some studies you would otherwise do at Aalto, but now we do it in some other place. And we have over 50 destinations all over the world with which we have contracts, so it's easy to go. Often these are in some other universities in countries where they speak English and study, like teaching English, like maybe in Australia, Singapore, Hong Kong, or for example, Ireland is one place where some people have gone, but there's many other options. It's also basically possible to do your master's thesis abroad, but that would be a kind of related to those internships. But so there's really interesting options to see the world when you come here. Not only Finland and the South Finland, but other areas too.
Okay, here's one example of our former student, Laura MacLeod, who came from UK to do 2 years master's program here, and then she was interested in music and physics and combined them. And then after the degree, she went back to UK and is currently working as an acoustic consultant at Aalto in Manchester, which is a big consultant company. And you can read the story by clicking the link here.
Not sure you can truly click the link.
No, not in Zoom, but
Yeah.
but maybe if you
Yeah.
if you see
That is true. Yes.
the slides later on.
And now we have here also Camilla, who can tell you how it really is to study here.
Yes, so now I would like to tell you a little bit about the studies from my perspective. So firstly, why did I choose Aalto in the first place? I was interested in acoustics and psychoacoustics in particular. And when I was browsing through different study options, I came across Aalto. And what was really unique was that Aalto offers a couple of sound-related majors. The fact that you can create your own study plan and you can choose also courses from these other majors, and you can do minor studies as well. I think that was really interesting, and that kind of convinced me to apply here. Starting my studies at Aalto was a little bit overwhelming, but luckily at Aalto we have international tutors. So it works like every new student is assigned to a tutoring group. There are usually 2 tutors per group. And these are people who are helping you out with everything that you can have problems with at the beginning. They help you out with things like picking up your key. They can answer all of your questions about students' life and about how everything works. And this year I'm also one of the international tutors, and I'm helping out new students. And about my studies so far, I've been really enjoying it. The content of the studies is really interesting, also quite demanding. But the community here is very supportive, and you can always ask for help if you have a problem with something. And I really enjoyed the multiple guest lectures that we had so far from people from different parts of the industry. So you can explore your options, your career possibilities, and you can hear what is it really like to work in the industry. And I've been working on my master's thesis already. I'm working in Taku's group, and my topic is listening effort. So the theory is that we have to put more cognitive effort when there is some noise or reverberation. And for that, we're running speech and noise tests. And on top of that, we're doing also pupillometry. So we're measuring the pupil dilation, and the theory is that they should dilate. The more effort you put, the more dilated they should be. Apart from my studies here, I'm also doing currently a minor studies in sound in the media in arts department, which I think is also really cool that I can explore more artistic side of sound. And in my minor, we have a lot of discussion-based courses and also a lot of projects. And soon I'll be working with other students who are doing animation on a short animated movie, and I will be doing sound for that. We can move to another slide, please. So as it was mentioned before, we are studying here at Otaniemi campus, which is greatly located very close to the city center of Helsinki. It's only a couple of metro stops away, and it's surrounded by nature. We have a lot of great events on the campus. I think that Finnish student life is very vivid. There are many events and many traditions that make you really feel like you're part of this community. Every school has its own guild. So as an acoustic student, I'm a part of a guild of School of Electrical Engineering. And apart from that, we also have a lot of associations on the campus. So if you're interested in sports, games, music, and many other things, there are for sure associations for that, or you can meet people who are also interested in those things and participants in many events. And personally, I'm following Women of Aalto, and a lot of students from acoustics are also following events by Polyrhythmy. There are jam sessions organized every week because a lot of acoustic students are also playing some instruments. So this is a great opportunity to play together.
Right. Thanks, Camilla. And then, yeah.
Yeah, I will tell you a little bit about the student benefits still. So I think Finland has quite a lot of student discounts. For example, the government subsidizes student lunches, so it's around €3 per lunch. But besides that, the local public transportation is minus 50% for students. And we also have a lot of stores and cafes and museums where you go, and if you show your student card and ask if they have student discount, they usually have one. So it's always worth to show your student discount card there. For housing, we at Aalto University do not have dorms, but no need to worry because we do have housing providers that serve or have houses and housing exactly for students. So you can apply either for student housing, or then you can also apply for housing in the free market. So there are quite a lot of opportunities there. And of course, for the student healthcare, the Finnish Student Health Services are offering or providing general and dental healthcare to university students. And after paying the student healthcare fee, which is approximately like €40 per term, you're allowed to go and use the all general and mental health services there. They include like appointments with specialists and physiotherapists, and there are group activities too. And there are Finnish Student Health Services located here in Otaniemi, but also in Helsinki, in Töölö and Viikki. So there are places to go to. And of course, there's also sports services for our students. So there are Unisport. They offer a wide range of sports to choose from. They have gyms, but also like group sessions where you can do, for example, yoga or Zumba, or I think they have like body balance and whatnot. So you can go and take a look at their webpage, what they have to offer. And I think then we can move on to the admissions information. So after seeing what and hearing what all this major is about, I definitely recommend you guys to apply. And the application period is already around the corner. So we will open the application period or application system on 1st of December, and it will run until the beginning of January. And you can find the application instructions and admissions requirements on the study option page. I will soon post it to the chat. I think quite many of you might be thinking about the tuition fees and the scholarships. So for students outside of the European Union, the tuition fee is €15,000 per year. However, as I said, we also have scholarships, and we have 3 different kind of scholarships that you can apply for when you're applying to the program. And we have Aalto B category scholarship, which covers 50% of the tuition fee. We have Aalto A category scholarship, which covers 100% of the tuition fee. And then we also have Finland scholarship, which covers 100% of the tuition fee. And you can also get €5,000 as a relocation money. So you can go to the Aalto webpage and take a look at those scholarships and the tuition fee information there. If you have any questions, you can send your questions to the admissions@aalto.fi email address. But of course, we're still here to answer your questions. So if you have any questions now, please ask them, and we're more than happy to answer to you. So I think we can go to the next slide. And just send your questions to the chat box. We're here exactly for you guys. So bring it on.
Yeah, so you'd have to ask your questions using the chat, please. We have some
so far no questions, but yes, now we're getting. So just wondering, are there any restrictions on applying for this major, such as whether a high level of basic acoustic knowledge is required?
No, no, you don't require like the high level of basic acoustics. You should have some background in mathematics and physics, and then if you know something about acoustics, that's bonus, but it's not mandatory. But it would be really good if you know how to do computation with MATLAB. We are using heavily MATLAB in all the courses, and that's basically I think the biggest requirement.
Yes, that is correct. I would say So we basically start from scratch with acoustics. So
Yes.
you just need the basic university math and physics skills and some programming skills, and you should be fine.
Very good question.
Yes.
So is there any other questions for us?
Thanks. Camilla, did you know about acoustics before you came here?
Yes, a little bit.
Are you
But
studying
then
some?
my MATLAB skills weren't so good, so
Okay.
that's definitely improved.
Yeah, okay. Did you study some acoustics or you just read something? Yeah, so.
I have bachelor's in audio engineering.
Ah,
so
yes.
we had a lot of acoustic.
Yeah,
as
right.
well.
Yeah, sure. That's not really required.
Yeah, a lot of my friends have background in like computer science, for example, too.
Okay.
Yeah, usually if the background is in electrical engineering or computer science, those students, they don't have any problems with the first courses. But sometimes there are students who has only like, let's say, music technology, which is more like mixing and recording things and sound, and they don't have so much mathematical background. And then also no programming background, and that might be quite tough in the beginning. But we have also those students, and they are doing well. But it's kind of the learning curve is maybe a little bit more steep in the beginning.
How about Camilla? How did you feel about applying? It's already a couple years back, but do you have any memories about how it was to apply?
Yeah, so it was a couple of years ago. So, but from what I remember, like instructions were very clear. I don't remember having any major problems with application.
Happy to hear that.
The chat also contains now some links. So there's, for example, the link to Laura MacLeod's interview where she tells about her.
There's a new
first off.
question. I would
Okay.
like to ask how many students are accepted for the program and how many are usually applying for?
Okay, that varies a lot, but like we can have 20 students per year. Not all, don't always get so many, but at least last year, what was it? About 40.
Yeah, last year we had 40 applications, and then we accepted 20, and 10 of them came.
Yeah, that's also, yeah.
So it's kind of, but basically we go them application by application. We look at the background a little bit, what you have studied earlier, and then we kind of propose that, okay, you can come or not if you have a bachelor degree from totally different field, and then we think that that you will actually suffer here to pass the courses, then we kind of suggest that like don't come here, but usually is that if you have a suitable background, then we accept, and then you can come.
Right. Yeah, but that varies, but the numbers are growing, so we get more and more.
Yeah, every year more and more, but as Vesa said, we have maximum 20, and we never had hit the maximum.
No.
So if your background is suitable and then you have let's say decent credits from your bachelor degree, then it's okay.
So it's not very hard to get in. Hope it's not very hard to get out either. I think everybody, yeah.
There should be a balance.
Yeah, I think pretty much everybody also graduates, by the way. I don't think people drop out so much.
No,
Sometimes there's some delays, but in the end, practically everybody graduates. I think.
Yeah, I think in the School of Electrical Engineering, usually people end up working because
Yes.
they get so good jobs. So then maybe the thesis might be delayed. But
Yes.
all in all, I think our students are very, very good and they do graduate. So
This is correct. Yeah. All right, we're still here if anyone has any easy or hard questions for us. Aha. Oh, there's a new one. Oh, okay. So now you should compare us to a program in international master's program in Aalto Acoustics in Le Mans, France. Do you know, Tapio, about that?
No, I don't know the details of that program.
I think something that you could do would be taking a look at the courses we offer and then comparing them to the courses offered in France. But of course, we hope that you will apply here because our program is amazing.
Yeah, and that everything that we teach is in English. I'm not exactly sure that if this is true in France. They might have some English courses and some in French. But if you master French, then it's okay. And most of them, their courses are also in English nowadays, but that might be a little bit different. Can you guys answer to this master doctor combined program?
I actually already typed something, but so we don't have a combined program like that. So our master students are just master students for 2 years, but it is possible after that to continue with doctoral studies. So if you are a good student and you are motivated, and we find a way to finance the studies, because that's usually like being a doctoral student is really like a job. Actually, we call them doctoral researchers nowadays. So we have to find a project or some way of funding and paying the salary basically for that work. But we have many, this is a field where we have a lot of doctoral students actually. So usually it's just a small fraction of graduated master students become doctoral students, but here it's, how is it, maybe 30% or something like that.
That's very high.
It's very high. So we are a very kind of research-oriented unit, and we have a lot of doctoral students.
And something I've noticed is that the students in acoustics and audio technology seem very passionate about what they do.
Yes, they are very, very eager to do what they do. Yes, that's correct. Somebody has to do the nice research too. That's what we're doing. Exactly. This is awesome. That's it. Yes.
So there's still time for questions, so bring it on. We are definitely here to answer all of your questions. So
I believe Maddie started as a PhD student, isn't it? So,
Yes, and we have many. I have now at least 2 PhD students who came here for the master's program, and then they did the master's program for 2.5 years, and then they are now continuing as PhD students.
yeah. I maybe have just one doctoral student who studied here, I believe. But I have had also several. But so Maddie studies with Ville, right?
Yes, yeah.
we were previously talking about the clubs that the student union has to offer. If you're interested in checking out what there is that the student union offers, so you can go to ayy.fi page, and there's a section for the clubs and all the associations they are part of our student union, and take a look if there's something that interests you. And something that I found fun is that usually if a student doesn't find a club of their interest, they can bring up a new one. So that's also pretty cool that if you find the group of people who want to have a new club, then you can do it too.
Excellent.
Yeah, and there are about, I think, about 200 clubs. So it's all kind of sports, whatever. If you are repairing cars, if you are playing, there are a couple of bands, and then also like wind orchestra, and then also symphony orchestra.
Choirs.
If you are playing choirs, all kind of things.
I think there are also like, for example, the Muslims in Aalto University have their own one. So you name it, we most likely have it.
Yeah, and then they are quite active. I was actually really active when I was a student. I was also 1 year in the board of the student union, and then it was actually all the clubs was on my responsibility for 1 year.
And something fun is that our students usually have like as the uniform of student is this overall that students go to different kind of events and they collect these badges from the events and then they sew it on the overall. So you can see if somebody has been very active in the student life, if they have very many badges on their overalls. And the overalls have different colors based on what you're studying. So what is the color of SICK or the electrical engineering guild's overalls? Do you remember?
It's white.
Okay, so it would be white for you guys too.
I also still have my white overalls somewhere. It's great for parties, I think.
And it's always interesting to see how at the beginning of the year, it's always shiny white. And then when the years pass, it won't be as shiny anymore.
Okay, so now we have a new question. So someone has a master's degree already, okay? But it was on recording and sound design. So some acoustics and programming fundamentals. Yeah, that's a. So now, yeah, so is this better for doctoral or master studies? This is a good question. I guess we should see the type of degree it is, because this is exactly that. It might be that it's more like a kind of studio sound engineering.
Yeah. But in these cases, it's actually we need more information.
Yeah,
so we should see like the study record. And then also the degree, what it is, and then based on this information, I cannot say anything.
Yeah.
But we have had some people who have done like master's degree in some other field, and then thought that maybe I can do it also in acoustics. So you can do that also as well.
Yeah.
Like doing it's only 2 years.
Yeah.
And then you can do also another master degree.
Okay, so that was a tough one. So the quick answer is we don't know, but we could try to find out if you send us your record of transcript of records, including the courses and description of what all courses you had, so we can find out if you're eligible to our doctoral program, or whether it's so different from our masters that it might be a good idea to do the masters. All right. Not so many questions anymore, so. But we are still here, so but shall we stop talking now?
Yeah, I think just a reminder that if you have any questions about applying or questions all in all, send your questions to admissions@aalto.fi. They will answer the admissions related questions, and if there's something related to content, they will forward the questions to us. So please use that email address.
All right, so thanks everybody for coming, and so we hope you will apply, and we hope to see you soon next year if you will apply and get accepted.
Yes, and remember the application period starts at the beginning of December, and it's basically December because it ends already like quite early in January. So you just should like mark down that before Christmas you should apply.
That's right.
And I will still send the study option page to the chat box, so please take a look at it so you can find more information about the program on the study option page on our website.
Great, thanks, Ali. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you.